What is up? What is up? What is up, everybody? We are back for another video. And this time we got one that's different. We've been doing a lot of different videos this week. Um, you can go check out some of our previous videos. We talked about what happened at Saturday Night Main Event. We talked about what's going to happen at the Royal Rumble. We talked about everything we learned from WWE 2K25's trailer and all the information we could find. I want to do something different. What I want to do is an opinion based video on the past and how we should rewrite history, so to speak. Maybe that's what we'll call this, rewriting history, Royal Rumble edition. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you 10 Royal Rumbles that I think the absolutely wrong person won. And I'm going to tell you who should have won, and I'm going to tell you why. And we're just going to have some fun with it. And at the end of the video, if you think maybe I got some of it wrong, we can talk about it. These are not going to be in order of how wrong I think they were. This is going to be in order of just going back to the beginning to the most recent. So without further ado, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, leave a comment, and let's get started with 10 Royal Rumbles that the wrong person won. Number 1, 1993 Royal Rumble. The winner of this was Yokozuna, but it should have been Owen Hart. Look, at this point, Owen and Brett were still on good terms in kayfabe. They didn't have their fallout until later in 1993. So what this could have been was an amazing story of a face versus face, brother versus brother match at WrestleMania 9, which likely would have been won by Brett. And the rest of the story they told over the course of the year, leading to Owen turning on Brett and then defeating Brett in the opener of WrestleMania 10, could all go exactly the same, but now it would have add an element of justice for Owen after he lost the year before, wasn't given another shot, whatever you wanted to do. You could change it so that he ends up costing Brett the title in the moment that he turns on him. There's a lot of added story elements you could do. But I think giving us Owen versus Brett a year earlier could have been something really special that led to a rematch the following year and made that match even more special. Number 2, the 1999 Royal Rumble. Your winner, Mr. McMahon. Your should-be winner, Mankind. There's still a man in that. Instead of Mr. McMahon, who never needed to win this in any way, shape, or form, and didn't even end up using the title opportunity, Mick Foley should have won. Specifically the Mankind version of him. You could have continued the story of Mr. McMahon making Stone Cold Steve Austin's life a living hell through the Rumble, just for McMahon to be eliminated by Foley at the end. A man who was screwed out of the WWE title earlier that night. Then you have a story where McMahon tries to take Foley's Mania match away from him out of spite because he eliminated him, whatever you want to do, just for Austin to earn the right to become Foley's replacement, and then have Foley get his way back into the match, maybe by beating Austin. Changing the main event of WrestleMania that year from Austin versus Rock with Mankind as the special guest ref to Mankind versus Stone Cold versus Rock in a triple threat for the then WWF Championship. That would have been better. Number 3, the 2004 Royal Rumble. Winner was Chris Benoit. The should-be winner, Kurt Angle. Look, even though the 2004 Royal Rumble was won by he who shan't be named, that isn't why this Rumble's outcome should change. Legitimately, there is an argument to be made that Kurt Angle was more deserving. This was probably the beginning of peak Kurt Angle during his WWE tenure, 2004 to 2006. Perk Angle was running amok. And he was already planned to be in the main event program heading into WrestleMania regardless. You could have easily done the same matches of Angle versus Guerrero and Benoit versus Michaels versus Triple H, just with slightly altered paths. Instead of having Angle win a triple threat at No Way Out, having him win the Rumble would allow you to have a triple threat between 3 Raw superstars to determine the number 1 contender for Triple H. You could have had Benoit and Shawn Michaels in that match and had them double submit with a crippler crossface and a figure 4 or sharpshooter. Sharpshooter would be better. A sharpshooter and a crippler, and the person double submits, getting them both into the title match, making it a triple threat at Mania. Then you have that spot happen again in the Mania match, and now there's added stakes where maybe Triple H taps out to both of them. What do we get to happen? We've already seen someone tap out to both of them, and both of them were the winner. And then either way, you end up with the same matches at Mania, just a different and honestly a more deserving path to them. We all say the he who shan't be named and all of these things about Chris Benoit. There's no denying what talent he had in ring. But I think Kurt Angle was more deserving of that Rumble win at that time. Moving on to number 4, the 2011 Royal Rumble. I know, quite the jump. Your winner, Alberto Del Rio. Your should-be winner, Wade Barrett. I know a lot of you probably thought I was going to say CM Punk, right? This was when Punk was doing his thing. We'll get there. For starters, Alberto Del Rio never deserved to win the Royal Rumble in general, let alone this Royal Rumble. In a historic Rumble, with 10 more entrants than ever before, and ever since if you ignore the greatest Royal Rumble, which we won't talk about anymore in this video, because this mention was more than it deserved. The winner should have been someone who was not only going to be worthy of mentioning for the remainder of Royal Rumble history, but was also going to actually win the title at WrestleMania. The actual winner should have been Wade Barrett. Fresh off being ousted of the Nexus by new leader CM Punk and the formation of the Core, this was a perfect and final, if we're being honest, opportunity to really give Wade Barrett a main event push. And honestly, an apology for everything they did to him in the Nexus the summer prior. I understand CM Punk had the Nexus now, but this could be a double retribution moment for Barrett. He beat CM Punk and the Nexus that ousted him, and then gets revenge later in this next part. You follow this up with The Miz defending the WWE Championship at Elimination Chamber against John Cena instead of Jerry Lawler, and have Cena win. Then you have Barrett challenge Cena at Mania, resulting in a rematch from the summer prior that everyone wanted Wade to win the first time around to begin with. And you can still do everything you did with The Rock, just replace The Miz with a new face for the main event scene in Wade Barrett. It was the right thing to do. Wade Barrett never got his flowers. Moving on to the next year, the 2012 Royal Rumble. Your winner, Sheamus. Your should-have-been winner, Chris Jericho. Honestly, the final 2 for this Rumble was perfect. Jericho was fresh off his return and probably at the highest point he had been since his great World Heavyweight Championship run in 2008. And Sheamus was finally the babyface that fans could get behind, and they were ready to see him take the company by storm. With hindsight being 2020, Sheamus winning and doing what he did at WrestleMania in 8 seconds, it ended up leading to the great run Daniel Bryan would have a few years later. But in the moment, it felt wrong. And honestly, CM Punk and Chris Jericho's feud was one of, if not the best feud in all of WWE at the time. It was already for the WWE title. So making Jericho, who again was riding a massive high and was fresh off a return to the company, should have won the Rumble. You could have still had both matches that came out of it, just with the other man winning the Rumble and adding to his story that was more fleshed out and better represented at the end of the day. Number 6, we have the 2014 Royal Rumble. Your winner, Batista. Your should-be winner, Daniel Bryan. First of all, there was absolutely zero reason Batista won this Rumble. None. Zero. It was his first match back in years, and even if you wanted him in the main event scene for Mania, he was a made man at this point. They could have just interjected him wherever they wanted. The Royal Rumble should have been won by the hottest act in all of pro wrestling at the time, Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was riding the highest of highs in his career, and whether they wanted him to be or not, he was already on a warpath to winning the main event of WrestleMania. Having him win the Rumble would have just been a less convoluted and more fan-pleasing way to get to the already written by the Fates final destination. It should have been Daniel Bryan. And while we're talking about Daniel Bryan, at number 7, the 2015 Royal Rumble. Winner, Roman Reigns. Should have been winner, Daniel Bryan. Now, I understand you're probably saying, wait, Pip, does that mean you have Daniel Bryan winning back-to-back Royal Rumbles? No. I looked at all of these in a pocket where anything that happened prior and anything that happens in the future is unaffected by this change. This is a branching universe where this change happened. While we're talking about Daniel Bryan, he probably should have won the 2015 Royal Rumble based on how everything went in real life before that. Roman Reigns was not the person that WWE wanted him to be at this point, and he definitely wasn't being rooted for like he was in the Rumble the year prior. People wanted him to win, but not because they wanted him to win. They wanted Batista to lose. And at this point, Batista wasn't involved, and Roman was not the choice. They had The Rock come out, and that couldn't get the fans to cheer for him. He wasn't the option. Daniel Bryan, however, was fresh off a return from the injury that caused him to relinquish the title he fought so hard to win the year before. The poetic justice of him winning the Rumble, something everyone wanted him to do last year, to get a shot at winning back the title he never actually lost, it writes itself. At number 8, we have the 2017 Royal Rumble. I think the match that came out of the Rumble was actually really good for this. Let's talk about it. Your winner, Randy Orton. Your should-be winner, Bray Wyatt. We're flipping the script. Like I said, I think the match we had was the right Mania match at the end, just backwards. Instead of having Orton win the Rumble and challenging Bray, who won the title a month after the Rumble at Elimination Chamber, I would have had Bray win the Rumble and Randy win the Chamber. This would have given us an interesting dynamic of Bray turning on Randy instead of Randy turning on Bray like he did all his other teammates up to this point. Then Bray Wyatt, a young and up-and-coming star at the time, could have had his first real major WrestleMania moment by defeating one of the greatest of all time to win his first singles and, more importantly, world championship. Just as a side note, rest in peace, Bray. Every wrestling fan in the world misses you. At number 9, we have the 2020 Royal Rumble. The winner, you thought I was going to say Drew McIntyre. We're talking about the Women's Rumble. Charlotte Flair. Your should-be winner, Shayna Baszler. For the first time in this video, we get to talk about the women. The first Women's Royal Rumble happened 2 years prior, in 2018, and was won by Asuka. Definitely deserved it. The following year, Becky Lynch won. The 2019 Royal Rumble was great, and it ended up leading to the first ever women's main event of WrestleMania. It was great. It was perfect. So clearly, everyone was expecting another major moment to make a brand new superstar on the main roster. So needless to say, people were also shocked when the winner ended up being already perennial main eventer Charlotte Flair. In reality, it should have been Shayna Baszler. She was the last entrant in the match and a surprise call up from NXT. And despite being the last entrant in the match and only in it for 4.5 minutes, she secured 8 eliminations, which is still tied for the most in a single Rumble. The other person, Bianca Belair, also in the 2020 Royal Rumble. No one has had a performance like they did that night since then, because they were being booked dominantly. And she was the last woman eliminated in that Rumble. If Shayna had won, not only would she get the extra elimination, giving her the sole record at 9 in one Rumble, but also by winning the Rumble, allow her to punch her ticket to WrestleMania to challenge Becky Lynch, like she ended up doing anyway, without her having to use the Elimination Chamber to set her up for that. She ended up being dominant in the Elimination Chamber too, but we could have saved that for the next year as a defending champion being dominant. Shayna could have been a perennial main eventer. Now people are wondering if she'll ever be in the main event again. Missed opportunity. And finally, at number 10 on this list, we have the 2022 Royal Rumble. Now, I know you're asking, well, which one, Pip? They both really didn't do their job. We're going to talk about the men's, and the only reason we're not going to talk about the women's, even though Ronda Rousey shouldn't have won that Rumble, wasn't really anyone else in that Rumble that didn't have things going on that were important to their story and their character that would have allotted for them to win the Rumble and be a reasonable Rumble winner. As much as I hate to say it, Ronda Rousey wasn't the wrong choice. They just didn't have a right choice. But on the men's side, your winner was Brock Lesnar. Your winner should have been Drew McIntyre. Look, Brock Lesnar was a menace to good storytelling in early 2022. He lost the WWE Championship in the undercard of the Royal Rumble just to come out in spot number 30, eliminate 5 people in 2.5 minutes, and win the Rumble. Then he abused his way into the WWE Championship Elimination Chamber match, took out Lashley before the match even started, and eliminated all the other 4 participants to win the WWE title back. Then he used his Rumble spot to make a unification match with Roman Reigns for both the WWE Championship and the Universal Championship. None of this was necessary. None of this was the right call. We didn't need to job out 8 people. I know you're probably thinking, Pip, you said 5 in the Rumble, 4 in the Chamber. Riddle was in both of those spots. So it's 8. We didn't have to job out 8 people en route to this unification of 2 world titles that also didn't need to happen. WWE was in a spot where it needed both world titles because Roman had the other title on lock and was already a part-timer. We didn't need 2 part-timers fighting to become the only part-timer champion. It wasn't necessary. Honestly, the winner of the match should have been Drew McIntyre. Yes, I know that would have given him his second Rumble win in 3 years, but I think that wouldn't have been a bad thing. We just gave Cody 2 back-to-back. Giving Drew 2 and 3 years wouldn't have been that bad. And it would have tied up a lot of good loose ends. We would have gotten a rematch from the previous year's WrestleMania, where Drew challenged Bobby Lashley for the WWE title. But this time it would have been so Drew could finally have his big title win in front of a live audience, since in 2020, when he did win the championship after winning the Rumble, he was robbed of the audience experience due to something we all look back on and simply say, the Thunderdome era. Drew should have won that and then gotten his rematch against Lashley, learned from his mistakes, and had his big moment. It was long-term storytelling before long-term storytelling was really a good thing in WWE. But these are the 10 Royal Rumbles that I would rewrite. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Which Rumbles you think I shouldn't have messed with and they were already perfect. Which Rumbles I should have messed with because they were very wrong. And while we're at it, let me know what your dream Rumble winner is. Who do you think should have always won a Royal Rumble but never did? While we're talking about the Royal Rumble, you can go check out our predictions for this week's Royal Rumble, the 2025 Royal Rumble. We have a prediction video up. We also have 2 videos from last week where we go over who we think could end up being surprise entrants in both the men's and the women's Rumbles. Those are 2 separate videos. Please make sure to check them both out. And that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I am Pip. Y'all are the greatest. Don't get tossed over the top rope. When in doubt, we'll see you next time. See ya!